And welcome everyone to the next round of the Zelda 1 Randomizer tournament. Today we have a match between Nimanva and ChronoJJ. I am Elsoa, and I am joined by a Mr. Fury. So this is a round 1 match. Between these two runners. Both of them are 0-0 at this point, as this is week 1 of the Swiss phase, and it looks like they're off.
Indeed they are.
Looks like... oh, that's a mid secret. So with a 40 mid, candle purchase is actually kind of reasonable here. Start screen is... Honestly, I like a coast start. Nimanva gonna pause real quick. I believe they can still get out of it. Hold on a second. Nimanva's gonna take a save with that money.
Yep, was just a little bit of a conflict on the initial hash, but once he gets that squared away, it's all good. So he'll be back in now.
So what's that resolved? Unless I missed something. I don't think I did. Nimanva finds level 1. Chrono finds more money. Nimanva finds a Gliok. Chrono finds a candle.
Yep, level 1's pretty solid to find early on. Even without an item, you can kind of look around here, may get a little lucky, or may just see all the extra bosses that are on.
Well, it looks like Chrono opted to take the heart with the 80 rupees in hand. It seems that they are of the opinion that candle can probably be purchased somewhere reasonably quickly, so no real need to pick up the free candle. Let's see what Nim decides to do.
Looks like 18 rupees is the door repair, so not too bad, too below the average amount.
Looks like Nim is going to take the candle instead of the heart container, as Chrono finds the magical sword, which cannot be picked up at 4 hearts. And Nim finds level 5. Chrono's gonna have a fun time getting through this screen, trust me.
Oh, your definition of fun's a little bit wonky here, sir.
It would be more fun if there was a candle. Speaking of candles, that candle led to a bomb for Nim, so Nim has the resource advantage very early. And there's your candle shop.
Yep, 2 rupees away. I think he's probably just going to outright buy it. Well, no, he's not going to J-Coper it. Maybe next time, though.
I was about to remind you that Nim found that under a candle spot.
He did find it under a candle spot, too. That's what happens when you're distracted right off the bat.
There's a bunch of hot dogs guarded by an Armos.
Another great screen for Lionel's, by the way. Right next to level 2's vanilla location.
This overworld, in spite of not having wardrobes on it, is going to be a bit tough, and there's a level 3 sighted, so that's 3 levels already found.
Yep, all you get are medium secrets and levels. Nothing else in the game.
And to make a note of what has been brought up in chat, the candle shop will always be available via open cave or bombs, because the game never assumes that you're going to pull the candle out of the heart cave. So, therefore, the candle shop will not be the rare shop because you've already seen one under the burn spot. We have to pick up for Chrono. No key for Niva. No key for Nim. Taking the 1 heart of damage instead of the 2 hearts. Chrono's now on level 3. But Chrono, not having any weaponry, is going to be booted out in the first room. Those arrows are pretty cheap. 63 rupees is not a bad price, especially when you don't have to buy a candle and you know you've got a good... Oh! I don't know if that was a grid or just an accidental walk down. I'm going to assume that was a grid.
Yeah, it was definitely dodging the Lionel beam that was coming in to the left there, and I think just went a little bit too far. But yeah, that's kind of this overworld doing overworld things. You're trying to avoid the Lionel beams and maybe not look in front of you.
These overworlds have been kind of brutal lately.
The upside to that is the dungeons will no longer have Dark Nuts, nor will they have Lionel shuffled down. Looks like just Moblins instead, so...
8 blue wizards are saying hi.
Yeah, should make some dungeons, keyword some, a little bit easier at least.
Nim is going to go ahead and pick up their first heart from a bonus cave as Chrono finds the any keys on the coast, which means ladder will be buried deep in 8. And time to go check a raft spot, maybe. Oh, gets hit by the blue light. The blue whatever it is. It's blue and deals a lot of damage. That's what matters.
Yeah, I don't blame him for trying to at least check the raft spots, though. You're trying to figure out whether or not that's the only item you potentially could need. You just need something to qualify you at this point.
Plus, if this is a white sword item and it's something like a red ring, and it can be picked up on 4 hearts, Chrono will probably be, oh, hi, that's a level.
See? Qualified.
Well, I mean, I don't expect Nim to go there for a while, so if Chrono pulls something important out of this too with no weaponry, that will be very important.
The downside is Chrono didn't take any one candle yet, either by not seeing it or just not going that route to start with.
Well, Chrono has seen a Take Any Cave, they just did not opt to take the candle out of it, they opted to take the heart instead.
So now it's just going to come down to when is Chrono actually going to find the blue candle or the sword, since that's also a potential thing that'll help with combat. In fact, quite a bit better than the blue candle, but I still think you can make some progress with it.
I do too, especially depending on what the HP situation looks like. If a couple of specific enemies rolled low, then you could get quite far. Right now, I think the main goal for the runners is to just find a sword. Let's note that Nim doesn't know that the level 2 location is raft blocked.
Yeah, I think eventually it just gets checked anyways. It's just a question of how late in the game does Nimanva leave it, or does it actually have an item of some use? Because if it's not that useful an item, it's not going to make a big deal whether you visit early or late, just as long as you visit.
Sword found.
Was that vanilla 1? Looks
Vanilla 1.
like it.
That's not a terrible spot for the sword at all. Totally not. And Chrono's immediately going to go back to 2.
You know, what's funny about that location is it's basically the last on my route that I check unless I start kind of in that Candle Row area.
I feel like if one of the any roads takes me towards Candle Row, I might go pop up and check it while I'm on the way. Or if I'm routing towards the Armos item, if it's on the west side of Hyrule. So let's see what kind of, if this is a good item here in level 2, early for Chrono, this could end up being a, oh, hi.
Well, it's going to accelerate combat. Looks like you can kill everything in 3 hits or less. I thought I saw the wall masters at 3, so you could bounce them against the side walls and kill them off.
A little unfortunate that it's a ladder block Triforce here.
It's actually not. You can. He just did it right there. You can manipulate it from the bottom of the room. Usually, it spawns more on the perimeter. So now the Triforce is on the outside.
Here I am forgetting that the Stalfos literally swallowed the Triforce. It would be... so Fury is correct here. As Chrono picks up the Triforce. So, I think how important that wand becomes is entirely based upon how long it takes Nim to get it. Now, remember that Nim does have bombs, so they may choose to just clear out some of level 2 while they're here. And if they get that wand before the sword, it's really going to equalize this up a lot faster than you might otherwise think. And I don't blame Nim at all for taking the up A there. On half a heart, the coast is not exactly free.
Well, the coast was definitely not clear.
Heart container out of level 1, that will be the dungeon heart. Even when the spare heart is missing, you always assume that the floor heart in a level 1 or 2 is the dungeon heart until you get a second heart. Chrono gonna try to fight this Gleeok.
Yeah, I'm gonna test it out, at least see if it's rolled up or down. Maybe get lucky on these secondary ones. Nope. Not at all.
They gotta be careful. They're down to 1 heart on the flying head. Everything in this room will deal 1 heart of damage, except for the heads that are attached to the body, which deal 3/8 of a heart. And they're the only enemy that deals that amount of damage, but gets a Triforce. I imagine they're just gonna leave. And it looks like Nim is taking a route that would be similar to what you'd take, and we'll end up getting the wood sword at the very end. So Chrono pulling ahead with a little bit of an early lead here. We'll see if this holds. I believe Chrono was bomb blocked out of the items in level 1. They may go back now that they have some bombs, though. They might also opt to wait for a map, either via book or via other means.
Other means?
Yeah, just physically picking up the map in the dungeon.
What's interesting about 1, though, before I troll you a little bit more, is that there's going to be a lot of key blocks in most level 1s, and typically not enough keys in the way to kind of get your progression through it. So maybe I think Chrono might look for a key as well, whether that be in this level 3 or maybe getting enough money since these medium secrets are so high to work his way into one at a shop.
I'd also consider that level 5 generally tends to be pretty good on keys. And that's also nearby. I'm going to put a point in towards level 6 being good on keys, because 6 often can be. Depending on how it's laid out.
Yep, if it's kind of more bulky, it's definitely a lot more key-friendly for the most part. Although I do tend to see a lot more ladder blocks there as well, so we'll see if maybe level 6 pays off with keys, or maybe it's either linear or ladder block too early on.
And also, to be fair to myself, keys, bomb balls don't exist in level 1.
Yeah, they also don't exist in level 3 today, apparently. Except up.
I am going to take the stance that bomb balls don't actually exist in this game.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, level 9's got a few.
Yeah, depending on what day of the week it is. There's another Gleeok. Also, 9 in the southwest corner is great.
It's also very good knowledge so that you know that that one's not blocked as well. I mean, we're kind of hoping that it's just level 2, especially if you're in the runner's shoes. If you're a viewer, perhaps you're rooting for a little bit more trolling action, but they're happy to see, or Nim is happy to see level 9's location being found already. Just wishes it was a sword.
Yeah, I think Nim is gonna feel like they're reasonably far behind when they find that sword. I don't think they're as far. I don't think they're gonna be as far behind as they may feel, depending on how quickly Chrono can get some items out of these levels.
Yep.
If Chrono finds a ladder, though.
Well, unfortunately, Chrono found a Gleeok, and the Gleeok wasn't so nice this time around, so gonna elect maybe to go back into level 5 this time and do the key hunting that you were talking about earlier.
I would like to note that asking the Gleeok nicely to behave. Oh, hi, that's a Patra.
And it's a key door, so you're kind of hoping this drops a key. Feel like it's more likely a map, but not impossible.
Well, a map may not be terrible on its own, just because it would kind of give you an idea of if there's a bomb wall you can try.
Yep, let's talk about that room, though. Beamos with a Patra.
Worst room in the game. 100%.
Almost.
Say again?
I would say almost. If you get a Patra in some sort of moat room or in a maze room where you're kind of restricted, I think that's almost worse to me just because you can kind of get yourself pinned real easy.
I think I would agree, but I would caveat that with, to me, it really depends on what sort of defense you have.
Also, my least favorite room, I think, when we're talking about bosses, is the segmented block room. The one that's like a... I guess in level 2 has the bomb pack right before you go to Dongo and Vanilla.
Yes.
Because there's just... It's always clunky when you're trying to fight in that room.
Nim has found a candle shop at the other raft spot, so only the one raft location will be required in this seed. Chrono's thinking about this a little bit. Picks up the candle now.
This overworld and dungeon setup both, actually, so far have not been friendly to the runners. They've both taken a good chunk of deaths.
And when you combine that with the sheer lack of keys, it's like you want to get a blue ring so that you stop dying as much, but you also want to get keys because everything is key blocked.
This is more or less a product of the tournament scenario that they're in, though, for me, because it's... I think if you're racing kind of more casually, you're taking a little bit slower pace, but you're inclined to speed up a little bit so that you're not falling further behind in your mind. And because of that, I think we're seeing them kind of rush into some combat situations, whereas they might take it a little bit more slow and steady, go around the overworld, get some money, get some keys, maybe the blue ring, as you noted, and kind of work their way through it from there.
Really good bomb luck there. What is this? This is troll. Chrono's gonna just pay the heart, knowing that the white sword item has not been found yet. But I mean... so some likes found. Can't Kananaki both doors, but can't Kananaki one door and open the other one at the same time, kind of. Chrono gonna go through that door. That will save the room state, but... okay, Spare Heart is in one.
Imagine that. On the bright side, it puts you right back at 6 hearts for your white sword item, so could have been worse.
That's gonna be a key. Chrono's going to pick it up and not go through that door. I agree with the play. Nim is now in level 2. Looks like Chrono's going to elect to go around to get to this manhandler. Gonna try to fight it off with the wand. The wood sword was at vanilla level 1 over on the lake.
Yeah, to answer the question, Chad, about the wands room, it was a combat room, but everything in there was fairly weak, with the exception of Wallmasters rolling up, but they didn't roll up that high. Like, it's this one. It's basically the room Nim's in right now, and then the Triforce is to the right.
Yep, and Nim seems very determined to try to clear this out. Gonna need to kind of summon the Wallmaster close to the corner to get it to bounce properly. But not impossible to do, unless spawn manipulations can get it too.
It looks like one's probably going to be primary Wallmaster. Maybe get unlucky and have both be back-to-back. No, I've just been called a liar by the game. Thanks, game.
Spawn manipulations are not something that is considered in the randomizer logic for any purposes, but they can be very helpful to the player, and good tech-type bounce there to go into the fire. Nim will have their wand. They will likely go ahead and pick up their Triforce through spawn manipulations, as mentioned before. I don't imagine they're going to kill all the Stalfos.
He may not know. Yeah, he may not know that there's a spawn manipulation with the Stalfos carrying the Triforce that gets you it, but I don't know that that's necessarily going to cost him a bunch of time, because as we see here, his starting screen on the overworld's only, what, like 4 or 5 screens away? Probably not going to kill him to have to come back later.
And considering the any key is on the coast and you're going to want to come back to the coast with the ladder anyway, it's really not that long to go from any key just to jump in the 2 and get that Triforce.
Yeah. Fortunately, Chrono's, that was just like round 5, round 6 now.
Yeah.
With this manhandler. It's really rough if A, the manhandler rolls up, or B, the manhandler does manhandler things and runs away from your bombs when you throw them down until you're at 0.
Yeah. Chrono's going to opt to leave level 1. I don't blame him on the play. He may opt to try to get a bomb here, but this is not an easy screen to get a bomb drop off of.
Yep, and Lionels won't bounce when they're going in a, perpendicular direction to you, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, took the whack at him, hit him, figured he might bounce back or go flying to the right, and instead he just turned left and said hi. Unfortunately, that's him to death, but it's kind of one of the things you gotta look out for with the Lionels, is they don't like to go flying away, depending on which direction they're facing in comparison to you.
Now, I would hope that Chrono has been tracking that they've seen 2 hearts in 1, unless I made a mistake and we haven't seen 2 hearts in 1.
Well, we can definitely confirm it once Nim goes into level 1 again. I thought Nim went like 1 or 2 rooms into level 1, got a heart out of it for his trouble.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, is that...
And the other one is past this mugger room to the left, correct?
Yes.
So that'd make 2. So yeah, I think you're right on that.
Only gets 1 of the mouths, but oh, the main handler just not gonna play with Chrono today.
Yep. So with the floor item being already grabbed here, I'm not sure that that's necessarily a room that I would continue to kind of go after for Chrono. Maybe give a different room a chance, because while this could be your Triforce, you might go to another room and find the staircase item. Maybe it's a white sword, maybe it's a red ring, maybe it's any sort of thing that can kind of help you out. Or you can just hit that one perfectly. That works too.
Well, here's the thing. Chrono already has the Triforce out of level 1.
I see. Well, in any event, it would net you a key in this case, a rupee, a bomb, a map. a handful of things that are helpful, but more often than not, you can kind of escape that room without having to clear it.
Staircase found in level 5, leading off into the middle of nowhere. Nim is going to opt not to do anything with that, and that's a room that you didn't want to see if you're Chrono.
Yep, gonna burn the key because there's only bound to be another handful of rooms in this level 1, and try and get around a different direction.
Looks like you can so far. We'll see what is in that in these couple of remaining rooms. I'm expecting a stair to show up, and I'm expecting the map to be in that Tridongo room or not existent. Well, there's some bombs. And this can be a stair room. Other than level 1 is what? Wow, okay.
Yep, so now I can do 4 damage to each of those manhandler claws if he happens to run into another one. So that kind of will make it a little bit easier if you can't find the center with a bomb.
And this actually is... This is a lot of combat that Chrono has. So I think Chrono's going to be in reasonably good shape for combat on the seed. They may want a defensive item. Dongo being a little bit of a nuisance there, not accepting the explosions. Chrono may opt to look for some keys if they have any rooms left. Although the Dongo is doing everything in its power to just be terrible. There's the map.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, the Dodongos will troll if you're at 6, 7, or 8 bombs, or I guess 6 or 7, you wouldn't waste your time on 8 unless you're looking for a key drop. But if you're on 6 or 7, you can go ahead and just feed him the first one, bomb him again, and you'll go ahead and get that auto stun with the smoke, and go ahead and get your kill off and get your bombs back. So maybe for Chrono to think about later or after upon review, maybe just go ahead and bomb the guy directly and then take care of it like you did.
I wonder if Chrono's either forgotten or doesn't realize I've gotten the dungeon heart out of 1 yet.
Well, better than me forgetting he had Triforce, so he's gonna escape now, though.
Nim with a sword at 27 minutes.
Yeah, not as bad of a situation for Nimanva, given that he had the wand about 5 or 6 minutes ago, at least.
Right. But now the thought enters your mind of, oh crap, when did my opponent get this? Did they have this early? Have they had that wand for significantly longer than I have?
Doesn't look like money has rolled too far below on the large secret for it to be a big deal. 90 is not bad.
I think the money in this seat is not going to be the problem for the runners.
Basically, 1 medium secret away from being able to buy a blue ring if he's feeling a bit like combat's going to be trouble for him.
I'll
pick up the boomerang. And with 1, not sure that boomerangs are as useful to me, but I can definitely see a case for stunning enemies on the overworld, given Lionels have been killing Nimanva and ChronoJJ a little bit in the seed.
Like that. That's a blue ring shop for Nim. Will they buy the arrows? Will they save up for the blue ring? Will they do neither and go buy keys? Because they know there's at least 2 key blocked levels that they've seen. This is not an easy decision to have to make.
So here's my case for arrows. It's just under 70 rupees, right? It's going to put you basically down at, what, 160s-ish?
Give or take.
1 large secret puts you just barely over the threshold of losing money on 255. So if you go ahead and buy the arrows and you manage to hit another large secret without hitting too many door repairs, you're basically back at blue ring money. That's my thought process when I look at an arrow versus blue ring purchase there.
I think knowing that I've seen knowing how many key blocks I've seen in this seed so far, I personally may be a little more inclined to buy arrows and then go buy a key or 2. just so that I can get into levels 3 and 5 and try to get some items out of there. Hopefully get a ladder so that I can get an any key and then I don't have to worry about it going forward. But I can definitely see the idea behind the buy your arrows and then get the money to buy the blue ring.
Worth also noting that my little hypothetical as to why you'd buy arrows and blue ring also would only matter if Nim hadn't already bought arrows, which I think we both overlooked again.
I wouldn't be surprised because, you know, when one runner's fighting a main handler and trying to get in, the other runner's just buying arrows, you're kind of focused on the one that's in the combat.
Yeah, so I guess it's more or less your thought process of keys coming into play here, perhaps, than it is with the wood arrows, given didn't want to buy a second set of wood arrows.
Level 4 has been found. But yeah, I guess it depends on how comfortable are you with combat versus how comfortable are you with key hunting. Chrono finds level 7.
So, tempting fate here with a bit of an off night for me on comms, but I think that leaves us with 6 and 8 left unfound.
Correct. And we have no guarantees that they are going to be blocked on the overworld due to 2 already being recorder raft blocked.
Yeah, we could kind of revisit that blue ring conversation. I think that was, to my knowledge, one of the first large secrets we've seen from either side all game, so it would still leave you with enough money if you found another one, and with a whole bunch of medium secrets at 40 left to go ahead and make your way into a little bit more money. And for what it's worth, the dungeons that you're going to have to dig are going to still have Stalfos in them. They're now going to have Moblins in them. You're going to have some sources of income in these dungeons to kind of work your way up on money. I do realize that there have been seeds where many a key have had to be purchased, though.
And I might have a little bit of confirmation bias on my side, admittedly, because a lot of times when I've bought the blue ring, almost immediately after, the combat suddenly becomes a bit easier, either through finding red ring or through finding dungeons that aren't as heavily combat blocked, but are just horribly key blocked. And I think to myself, why didn't I buy keys? Speaking of keys, keys are not going to help you with this blue wizard room.
Yeah, this is a rough room, mostly because it's a potential staircase sort of setup, but it's almost a hard note for me at this point, just with green and only a handful of hearts.
Yeah, I think this is a room that you come back to and you have some bombs and maybe a potion. I don't think trying it once is a bad idea, though.
That block layout I call diagonal block room. Not sure if I'm alone on that.
Diagonal block room is the very common name for it. I'm weird and call it the Z room because I look at the negative space of the blocks.
Another mugger at an intersection right in front of a Triforce for Nimanva, so that's going to be a little bit rough. I think you easily give up the heart, obviously, but you just don't want to anyways.
And the worst part is the ladder, because we haven't seen that yet, it could very well be behind that mugger.
Yep, that room had the heart drop on, so we know he can just walk through that one. So I guess he's probably looking for another staircase room.
Yeah.
In hopes that he can get up top, or in hopes that it has a ladder, because then he can just go ahead and opt into an any key and come back to this dungeon.
Speaking of coming back to dungeons, Chrono is in a very pink 8. Actually, no, this is more mauve, I think.
Well, it's certainly bright, but that now knocks our missing dungeon list down to just level 6 across both runners. They're both missing 1 or 2 dungeons on their own respective sides.
Right. I think of the 2 dungeons that are missing, the dungeons that Chrono is missing are probably easier to get to just by virtue of not being on Death Mountain.
Yeah, Chrono's... I didn't see him go down to level 9. That's pretty much the furthest away that you could possibly be. So
right.
That might take him a little bit.
But he'll get there eventually. for all we know, they'll check it when the time comes to go check the recorder spot anyway. And having to burn the heart to get to the Triforce room, it is full of bunnies. I did not see an item pickup.
I did not either, but if that's the case, then you would also have to maybe burn a key to go ahead and look for your item in here. I think it'd be well worth it.
Yeah, I can't imagine a that's an 8. A little unfortunate that Chrono upade before leaving the room. That means that Gliok is going to respawn. The island double wide water rooms. I believe that could be referencing one of two things. Either the double river room has been mentioned or the T room, where there's just a little T-shaped island at the bottom. Nimanva gets their Triforce out of 4. Staircase found in level 8 for Chrono.
Yeah, this is kind of important because initially he couldn't find his way around a potential Goma block, so if this transports him around or gives him an item to clear it,
All
does
quail.
not do either, but he is going to pick it up.
All quail.
I feel like this is basically because Lionel's at this point.
Yeah. Especially knowing... I don't think Chrono's seen a large secret yet, so for all they know, the large secret is like 52, and Blue Ring is going to be somewhat out of the question. They don't know that it's 98. If this is the other item, this is a fantastic 8.
I still don't think it's a bad situation if it's transport around that Goma area-ish.
There's an option.
Yeah, that's probably the other good option for getting around the Goma, so I think he'll take that quite easily.
I think at this point, if you're Chrono, you just check these last couple of rooms and then you immediately go buy arrows if you remember where a shop is. Potential item room here in 4 for Nim. It is an item room. What is inside? A red ring.
Alright, so we can now officially completely put to bed that blue ring versus arrow conversation. He has something that nullifies both sides of that argument.
Yeah, and at this point, you spend your money on either bomb upgrades or keys, depending on what you see first. Also, alternately, Nim did get the potion letters, so they have the option to buy potions. But with Red Ring, that's a little bit, I think, less likely, although being only on 6 hearts, me. If they're still on Wood Sword by the time they go into 9, they might. But I kind of doubt that unless 1 is their last dungeon they go back to. That's a bladder block. No amount of bow is going to get you through that.
Yep, it was also a little bit past the Goma, so there apparently was a way around it. I had pictured it being one room lower down, I suppose, than it was.
I think Chrono's... Well, Chrono's left 8, but I don't know if that's due to saying, you know what, there's a ladder and a dig dogger, I'm going to leave. If that's due to saying, I want to go buy arrows. If that's due to saying, I have other places to go, and that's just a Triforce now anyway.
I'm not really sure. I didn't see if he bombed all potential walls to kind of get to the west side a little bit lower down than where that dig dogger was. It definitely blocked you out of the western direction on the northern side of the path.
Yeah, I don't recall if they did or not either. I don't think they checked all the walls, but there's been enough blocks that I don't think it's unreasonable to just leave 8 anyway, especially with both items.
I would say, though, that so far this match looks a little bit lopsided on items and maybe on 2-to-1 Triforces, but it's really not that lopsided at all, given how early on the items are in 8. Given the fact that Nim just didn't manipulate the free Triforce in 2, which will only take 30 seconds or so to go back, and then another 10 or 15 seconds to get back to that room, so really not a lot of time difference between the two runners yet.
There is one big thing that Nim will have that Chrono does not. That's going to be arrows on their first trip through 8.
Yep, which is only sort of relevant now, I guess, because it would have to be the Triforce room, or another Goma later on would have to be a bit of a troll.
Yes, but it's not necessarily something that can be ignored.
Yep. Also will make clearing Pole's voice in other dungeons a lot faster too, so it can expedite some clears once you get it back into level, I guess level 8 for the first time for Nimanva.
So I wonder if Chrono's going to opt to spend the heart on the Mugger room here, or just leave and come back to for post ladder, because we know the ladder's not in here.
Yep, Chet's kind of pointing out at this point that silvers are really starting to already get pushed into level 9 just based on what items are left to be found on the dungeon side of things.
Mm-hmm. Because remember, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we have ladder, we have power bracelet, and we have flute as 3 items that are left outstanding. And then the only things that can shuffle into 9 that are left are your book and your red candle to go with those silvers.
So for us in the booth, we would like to see the red candle show up. Oh, immediately pays the heart. Almost no hesitation. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to in order to go ahead and get your Triforce out of here, unless you want to take the trek back for the Innie key, like I thought might happen if we found the ladder in here.
Right, but the ladder in here would be beyond the Mugger room anyway, from what we'd seen. The other option, of course, would be to just leave this dungeon for later, because you can whistle to nowhere at the moment, so never mind.
Yeah, I mean, they're bound to find a whistle soon, though, right? Because you've got only a handful of dungeons left that you have to get items out of that aren't 9, so you're going to run into it soon enough.
Well, no, you know, I kind of want to see the whistle in 7 and a whistle blocked 6. Looks like Chrono's going to go for the item first. They'll be happy with the item that they get, even if it may not necessarily be exactly what they're looking for. I'd imagine they're looking for a ladder or a recorder, or basically anything that is progression.
Yeah. So I guess the ultimate question for me on Nimanva's side is, did Chrono have to burn any keys whatsoever to get to the bow? Or to kind of the bottom segment where the boomerang was, because I know that there's at least one key down there.
I don't recall if there was any required to get to there. There may have been a key or 2 required to get to the map, which definitely kind of pushed Chrono in that direction. Rendering for Chrono.
Yep, defense got equalized. There's the map underneath the Gliok, so that's quite helpful.
Yeah, that also shows that my memory is not great.
Let's see. Where was this Goma that I saw? That's kind of what I've been looking out for now. I think it was I thought it was to the west of that, old man.
I thought it was directly left and then up from the Gliok. Nim running out of bombs could be a big issue, because you needed 2 bombs to get down to the bow.
Yeah, because north of here is definitely the Chevy now that I'm thinking about it, so you are probably correct that it's south of here for that Goma block.
I think if you are Chrono here, knowing what you know, I think you just immediately save and then save Scum 3 and 5.
And I think Nimanva's going to try and pop the door across the way, which doesn't happen. So he's got to consider using a bomb to go down. That's the most logical play, even though that's not where perhaps the bow is directly.
Yes and no. The bow was actually one room to the left of this. And the boomerang is one room south of the room Nim was just in.
He does have farmable enemies outside that will drop bombs, so should he opt to go out of the dungeon, he can easily get bombs there. There's also a handful of moblins in here, though I don't think there's enough early on for that to be the thing that kind of pushes him back down south.
Chrono has elected to purchase the arrows at this point. Mostly because they found an arrow shop and said, okay, cool. Then get a large secret.
Do we find... What was the price of bombs if we found that shop?
I want to say it was in the 20s. But I don't remember where the shop was.
Kind of feels like it would have to be one of the rare shops to find, but there was bombs in the Skoma room. That's actually super, super helpful.
Yeah, that's a very nice bomb to see for Nim. And looks like Chrono has elected to go to 5. So I think it'll be interesting to see, because Nim has to go back to 2 and 1 to get stuff out of there. Whereas Chrono only has to go back to 8 and 7 at the moment. Tried to get the bombs, but could not. They disappeared too quick. Not checking the stair, I'm not entirely sure why. Unless I've already seen both ends of the transport.
I thought we saw the transport stair there fairly early on, but we're going to see Nimanva thrilled at what he finds in the second staircase. I think he'll probably go back towards Agoma, maybe?
That may have been the transport stair, and I just didn't notice. I thought the transport stair was in the southern portion of this 5, but I could very easily be wrong on that.
It had to be somewhere you could get pretty quickly.
It's probably here. Now, Chrono's going to check it, and nope, that's the item. That's the ladder. That's extremely significant for Chrono.
It's definitely going to be a bit of a... well, I guess there's a Triforce right here. I was going to say it's going to be a bit of a while before Nimanva gets through this level 8, because it's so big and we don't know where the Triforce is at. I just couldn't get that all out before the Triforce was immediately found.
And I don't think Chrono... And I think Chrono only had 1 key when they went in there, so they may just go right back to that room when they go back. But they will have the any key upon return to 8. But I imagine they don't go back until the very end.
Yeah. While it wasn't the fastest dungeon ever, that 8 in loose terms was fast just because of the amount of rooms. I think that's kind of what that speed comment was in chat. Just didn't have to visit 25 plus rooms that were still available to you to find your Triforce after finding both items.
Right. Especially when you consider that sometimes 8 likes to be really silly with its blocks. Chrono's going to grab the Triforce out of 5, and I imagine they're going to go get the any key before going to 3, given they have no keys and they need keys to get into 3. We'll see what Nim can do in this 7. Chrono buys the meat.
Reasonable purchase now. Wood arrows in hand. You're going to have all the keys you need. You've got a ring in hand. Not a whole lot left outside of bomb upgrades and potions.
And bomb upgrades aren't even a strictly required thing. Hey, that's a nice map to get.
Yeah, looks like there's a very linear stretch of this 7. If the Triforce isn't early in here, I think the next thing that you would root for Nimanva is for a ladder block to basically hit instantly.
Yeah. Any key picked up for Chrono. Chrono still does need to find level 9, though, so that could take them a little bit to do, especially if they think it's still blocked and we find 6 is not recorder blocked.
Looks like we may have a potential stair block there. That's not fun. Oh, I remember this dungeon now. Immediately,
Yeah.
I remember this.
You were the one that said you would hard bail on this room, right?
Yeah, I just didn't realize what dungeon it was in, and now I realize exactly what the pathing is that you have to go through. But Nimanva with the red ring can get through that a little bit easier than the circumstances were before.
Imagine if that's a stair and that's your silvers.
I mean, when you come back later with White Sword after exploring every other dungeon, because why would you ever do that room? Yeah.
If it's me we're talking, I would just door guard it. Well, no, only on 3 bombs, I don't think I would door guard it. If I had more than 3 bombs, like if I had the 8 bombs, yeah, I'd probably try it.
What's interesting, though, and what makes it a passable play in this circumstance is if you get through that room, this red Wizrobe room is something that you can go ahead and get to respawn after you keep resetting that blue Wizrobe room. So you can will it down. It just takes some time.
I'd also like to note that I believe there was a comment of this section of 7 being logically stair blocked. I don't actually think it is, because you have multiple ways of getting through that turnstile room. You can just kind of go around the rooms to get into this bottom portion of 7 without a stair.
Yep, as long as you can go left or right at this turnstile, unless there was some sort of block that we saw before this that I was paying attention to, it still can't continue without a staircase.
Nim finds a Gleok. Chrono takes a death to a bunch of Wishrobes, but I imagine they are not going to try to re-clear that room because there's nothing really of any good value in there. At least I don't think there can be. Nim's got to be careful.
You can add this to the rooms that I don't like fighting Gleoks in, just because it's kind of a weird spot where the Gleok heads are kind of drifting over that little body of water.
Yeah, I would agree that one's kind of tough. I still think a Chevy room is generally the worst room to fight every boss in, except maybe the Dongo.
Yep.
But I will definitely give the useless moat room a shout out for that. No item in 3 yet for Chrono, but I imagine they're just going to grab their Triforce out of here and probably come back in.
It would depend. I haven't actually seen exactly how many rooms he has left, but if it's not that many, then I think that's a pretty easy call to make. Or you'll find a super room.
Okay. Thanks, game. And it has silvers.
Alright, so now there's a bit of a lead developing, just because Chrono's, barring a little bit of a level 6 troll with its location, is potentially just in Triforce and Go mode, and can kind of treat it as such in clear overworld spots, so his seat's going to ramp up significantly at this point.
And when you consider that the only dungeon left for Chrono to get an item out of is level 7, which it seems like the item's going to be kind of on the way to the Triforce, depending on where the Triforce ends up. Actually, hold on a second. That means Recorder and Power Bracelet are somewhere between 7 and 6, which puts Book and Red Candle at 9.
Yep.
Looks like Chrono's headed immediately back to 7 via the Any Road. I feel like you approach the 7 as you're not specifically looking for the item, but if it shows up on the way, you're not going to... But if a stair shows up on the way, you're not going to ignore it.
Yeah, I think Chrono just goes, and Nimanva may go ahead and dig still, just because of a handful of items outstanding, namely the ladder, would make Nimanva consider digging this. Which could be a bit of a bonus if it happens that 6 is blocked. Again, we don't know where 6 is. They still have a handful of spots to check between them.
We know one of Recorder or Power Bracelet's not going to be required. We don't know if both are not going to be.
It'd be a really interesting circumstance where Power Bracelet guards 6 and you have a flute block via Dig Dogger, I guess.
I could see that. Did these guys go down to 2 bombs? That's a very fortunate break. No stair, though.
Yeah, that's a sad trombone.
But, on the other hand, Chrono does have some good knowledge of the Wizrobe HP going forward. So they may use that if, say, level 9 is full of Wizrobes. Red Wizrobes, on the other hand.
I was going to say, I think they may have rolled up to... I thought it was 6. It could be 5 or 6 with Chrono, but I thought I saw 6 swings required with the wood sword on Nimanva's side, so definitely beefy.
To answer the question of where hasn't Nim been in 7, really kind of that whole right side of the dungeon. Chrono's gonna go check this room over here.
Yeah, Patrick can guard the Triforce in here. Be in that corner that he was standing in, hiding.
That's a potential ladder block. I don't recall if there was a door to get around, but there might have been. Honestly, I did not necessarily expect the white sword to be doing as much work as it has been for Chrono in this seed, given that both runners had the wand reasonably quickly.
Yep. Then finally decides to use a bomb on them, and probably doesn't know yet that they go down to 2, but doesn't have a ton of bombs left in the resource column, so don't blame him for trying to hold on to them in case there's a lot more bomb walls left to go through.
And you don't really have a reason to assume that they're going to go down to 2 bombs.
Yeah, you're only trying to kind of weaken them with a single bomb in some cases, just to try and be able to whittle them down easier, because wood sword's enough to kind of make your way through them in a reasonable amount of time, without taking too many bops, just as long as you're fighting on half tiles.
And especially once you get the numbers down to where they don't have the option to really swarm you. Compass pickup, so we know where the Triforce is now.
That's actually really, really, really bad news for Nimanva. It's to the right of that right side moat room where he fought the Wizrobes. I don't know if you can get down via the top side of it. It's possible. I don't remember exactly if there was a door in that room.
I don't remember either. So now we get to see Chrono fight these Wizrobes. I imagine Chrono's going to leave 7 when they pick up the Triforce in this room, barring a super room situation.
And I think that's actually bomb blocked Nimanva out. I was going to say that's an old man. I think he's never going to root harder for a potential bomb upgrade than that.
Is a rupee boss. Chrono is not going to take the Triforce just yet. He's not convinced, much like us, that 6 is not going to be blocked by something.
Yeah, it is bombable, though. Chrono just bombed that wall, so it's not ladder blocked to the Triforce. That's good information for us to know, because we know now that Nimanva, if he gets bombs, can get in there.
Right. And I can't disagree with this play from Chrono to say, you know what, let me check this. For all we know, Chrono's checked most of the overworld and knows it's blocked anyway. But I can't necessarily disagree with this play on Chrono's side.
Yeah, and this is actually a really useful move from Nimanva, because he's thinking this room could exist, and he also took that staircase to confirm that the Dig Dogger was not blocking his item. Because we saw that Dig Dogger way, way, way back at the start.
Yep. Now, what will be interesting Well, hold on. We haven't seen this entire level yet, have we?
No, I think the last part left is in the bottom right.
Because I'm almost thinking it's possible, although highly unlikely, that the Dig Dogger is blocking the item via transport into a magic stair situation. I would say very unlikely at this point with that door being there, but it's not impossible until we see the item or see all the rooms.
Well, the transport theory's out the window because he took the stair that was in a different spot here. This is the item.
Oh. Right, I forgot. My apologies. That's Power Bracelet.
I think Nim's just going to farm outside of this level 8 to try and get bombs.
So with the Power Bracelet found, we know the recorder is in 6. Probably doesn't get picked up unless it's on the way at this point, even regardless of the potential Dig Dogger block. If you have an early Triforce in 6, you probably just go to 9.
Yeah, this is 100% dungeon go mode. It's just a question of whether or not you, as you said, consider the potential for Dig Dogger blocks at 9.
And I think if I'm in the runner's shoes here, I'm just gonna go to 9, and if I see a Dig Dogger, then I'll consider leaving. Elsewise, I'm just gonna assume they're not in there.
I guess it's just, yeah, I think I just go to 9 as well in that case. Yeah, the moment I saw Dig Dogger and Shutter Doors, I'd start to get a little concerned, think about it, but ultimately, what determines it is level 6. Is level 6 large? Do I find the Triforce in 2 rooms, or do I have to clear 90% of the dungeon? There's a lot of circumstances that could hit there.
Right. Now, thankfully for Chrono...
And, by the way, level 6 is just at the top of the waterfall with all those nice, friendly neighborhood Lionels.
Oh, well, that's a ladder potential. Okay. Nice game. So Chrono's going to go there last.
Yeah, well, he may not go there last, but he's not going to go there for a little while. I think he tried to go there earlier and got beaten up by the Lionels on that screen.
Yeah. The other side, too, is that Chrono has to go back to 8, so I imagine they're going to finish 8 out before they go to 6. Before they go super heavily looking for 6. Like, they'll probably do 8, and then do West Death Mountain, and then go to 6. They haven't done Deadwood yet. Or is he going to make a liar out of me? Looks like Candle Row is the play. Ah! Hey, remember that part where you said you're not sure if you're digging 6 if it's large?
That's not too bad. Come on. I actually think this kind of 6 is not nearly as bad as some of the other ones that spawn where they're very, very stringy. I'd rather have a 35 room level 6 than a 25 that's like all linear pathing, just because of how many blocks end up happening in level 6. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I just find it easier, especially when you're basically closing in on go mode for Nimanva. You're just looking for a ladder and you're in Schrodinger's at that point. It's not that big of a deal to kind of just clear rooms in blitz mode.
Hold on a second. I believe Nim has actually seen all of the dungeons at this point.
Yes, he's seen all the dungeons, just doesn't have ladder, doesn't have silvers.
And yes, to answer the question that came up in chat of where 9 is, it's in the southwest corner. Chrono will likely see that before 6. Really, the big question is going to be how long does it take Chrono to get back over to 6 versus how long does it take Nim to clean up the rest of the dungeons?
Nim just really needs bombs. Like, desperately needs bombs. Needs a bomb upgrade, needs a bomb dropper, needs bombs.
Maybe both.
And I think you can get through that. You can get to the room that was blocked by a key there. But if there are rooms that are blocked off by keys at 4 keys, I think at this point you got to start making that call to use those.
Yeah, especially, again, with no bombs. There's no way that Nim misses the silvers in the seed. It's unless you're just gonna YOLO gamble a known item stair in 3 in a Triforce room, which there's absolutely no reason to do.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
Even if you get Y forced, you go back in and you get that item.
Hey, a bomb pack. Hallelujah. We got bombs.
Do you think Nim would have rather seen the Triforce, or do you think they're okay with finding bombs?
Once again, without ladder, think you're okay with it. Although he does know where every dungeon is at this point, I'm fairly certain.
I don't think Chrono would have checked off Top of Waterfall as gotten. It may just be a case of it's such a pain to route into. There's just no convenient way to route up there. When you have all these other checks that you can do and they're all kind of dense, why would you go to the one loose square?
Old man asking the relevant questions as well, since they are out on the overworld.
I blame TGE.
I mean, it's fair.
Or Nora. But yeah, I think Chrono not going back there is purely a matter of just routing efficiency compared to not.
Yep, and Nim is kind of going with the strategy I would use, given that there's 3 Dodongos in here. You just double bomb always, instead of trying to save bombs. Because you're going to get them back.
Yep.
And definitely go left. Who cares about the key at this point? You need to start making a little bit of progress. You buy this instantly.
Hey, hold on. Yeah, maybe check the south wall and then you buy it.
Yeah, but you're buying it.
Yeah.
With the bomb troubles he's had all seed, basically, you buy instantly and get 6. So it paid off big.
Yeah, there's no reason to not buy that.
Yeah, maybe right after he refilled bombs, so he's a little bit sad and saying, oh, now I get him, but I still think he's happy to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Chrono's going to find 9 here as Nim takes a death in 6. That's going to put them back, I believe, towards like the middle. Oh, no, that puts them way bit down at the bottom.
Maybe start looking at other alternative paths now. Just see what's down here.
Yeah, especially now that bomb walls are of no concern. Well, okay, they're not of no concern, but they're of far less concern.
Does Chrono have a... Yeah, he does have a potion. That explains it. So he's already got his. That's why he's taking hearts.
Yep. I believe the magical sword was also right next to where level 6 is, so if somehow they end up on another heart, they could at least try it.
Yeah. Bit of a troll shoot there, but I think there's some ways around it unless this lower room's also ladder blocked.
Yeah, that's... looks like it's not from this side. We'll see if this other side is a horizontal or double river room. It is not. It's a stair, actually.
Yep, that's the item, which we already know what's going to be.
Nim probably won't be too upset because it is a potential blocker from a Dig Dogger standpoint, but not what they wanted to see. And Chrono's actually headed in the direction of 6.
Yep, and what's worth noting now for Nim, actually, is it does open that staircase in level 7 up that gets him basically right next to the Triforce there. So, well, not right next to, but he gets to skip a whole bunch of rooms for free.
And Nim has to go back anyway, so Nim probably will get the item out of 7 if they go to 7 immediately with this recorder. If they do not, then they just say, cool, I'm just going to the Triforce and leaving. Instant Compass for Chrono. There's no way Chrono gets this recorder. Unless it's a Dig Dogger block.
That would be pretty cool. I don't know that we got the right enemy set for that in this dungeon. We got the Manhandla and Gleeok, but
yeah,
it'd be funny.
And it's just sitting there on the ground. So if you are on Team Nim, you really want Dig Dogger blocking either Ganon or Zelda or both. Chrono's going to go back to 8. I would guess they're going to finish out the bottom section before they go to the top, assuming they remember that room is there.
And I think it actually just depends on completionist percentage of 8. There's a lot of rooms that you can kind of go into in there. And if you kind of work your way around the wrong way, you can kind of skip that room because it's just kind of in a bulk of rooms and you can only get in via certain ways.
But also remember that Chrono doesn't have the recorder, so Chrono's going to get blocked out of whatever's behind that Dig Dogger, which will ultimately point them in the right direction. Gonna go up first, presumably back to the Goma realm. Now, they may get a compass in here as well, so that would ultimately make it where they go back towards where we know the Triforce is.
Yep, Nim, if he goes left, does not go left yet. If he goes left in the room below, he'll get his free try, I'm hopeful. So I kind of want to see this get closed back down a little bit here by the end of this.
Really, I think the big thing that would close this back up is, again, that Dig Dogger in 9, but if we get the wrong enemy set in 9 to where Dig Doggers don't show up, then, well, there's a Triforce.
Yep. Looked like he might skip it for a second, but he did find his way back there, so gotta try out of 6. Tries in 1, 2, and in 5 are fairly quick to get to.
And 3s is in the room with the silvers, so that's not going to be a problem.
7s is accessible faster, and he has a compass for it via the Dig Dogger, so there is a world where he really catches up, but he needs to go to 5 first in order for that to really be the case.
But there's a compass in 8 for Chrono. They just got to get around to it. Which, if it's Dig Dogger block to get to that compass, do they go back to 6 looking for a recorder immediately?
Hard to say, but we've already got the try out of 1, so there's 1 quick try off the board.
I'm gonna guess Nim goes back in.
I think Chrono's actually going to get pushed back towards the Triforce room, potentially?
Yeah, because there's no way to get to that side of 8. As long as Chrono didn't misread their map. I don't have experience with that at all. Trust me, I've never misread a map before in my life. Oh, there's a bomb wall.
Yeah, below there was the old man. This will be a transport, which could get him over to the compass. I didn't see where this went.
I don't think we've seen the other end of it. It does get him over towards the compass. That's a bit of a bailout. Nim is going to pay the heart, being short 1 key. But again, with Red Ring, that's not that big a deal. And I believe Nim also picked up the letter.
Yeah, the downside to this is Nim is back in 1, which he'll bail on the moment I think the next heart container is found, and or I guess probably the staircase item, more importantly here.
Yeah, I can't think of a... I don't think if you're Nim, you're gonna be comfortable skipping either item in one.
Is Nimanva out of the race, or did they still have a chance? I would say still has a chance until we see what kind of 9 we have. That's kind of the make or break here, because if it's a trolling 9, there's worlds where Chrono just takes the wrong path and spends a good 15 to 20 minutes in there. There's a chance that there's whiz ropes everywhere. And if that's the case, maybe it slows him down. So there's never, say never here, especially with how fast these Triforces will come, assuming Nimanva gets the ladder soon.
And also bear in mind that the biggest thing that would help Nim at this point would be a Dig Dogger block in 9. As then Chrono will have to go back to 6. And Chrono will know that the recorder can't be a 9, so likely won't pick up the book.
Pretty sure the white sword is in this room, so I think we're about to see a bail the moment he picks this up.
Yeah.
We'll see where he goes next.
I think you go to 5 next. Just because you know 2 is logically ladder blocked, and 5 is closer than 3 to start. So with Chrono in level 9, we're going to be listening for the Roar of Ganon, and we're going to be looking for a shutter door that doesn't open or automatically opens, depending on if Ganon has been killed. Nice immediate stare and one-way 9.
I don't know about you, but every time I see that sort of 9 entry where it's blocking multiple directions and forcing you one way, I immediately assume that either Ganon or Zelda are down in the direction where you can't go.
I don't necessarily assume that. Oh, hi, Ganon, by the way.
Yeah, it's definitely just Zelda this time.
Yeah. My assumption is that 9 is going to be just staircase hell. Starts to get a stun lock, but misses it just a little bit. I think his timing was slightly off.
It does have a potion, so even if this goes a little bit south for him, it's still going to be very doable.
Oh, definitely.
Here.
Ganon down for Chrono. Second bomb upgrade found. Nim not going to pick it up just yet. Might not pick it up at all.
I think maybe just a little bit flustered here because the wand was the first item, and doesn't really have anything else to really gain out of this level 2, so just either got to manipulate that room with the Stalfos, which he might do here shortly if he just walks back normally.
I wonder if... I'm not entirely sure what type of tracking mechanism Nim uses, but I wonder if there's a potential thought of, oh, well, I never got the item out of here.
That's my concern, is that he's just not remembered that he got it.
And to make a note of what discussion has going on in chat, yes, the magical sword can be powerful, but it's not very often that, one, it's picked up to begin with, and two, that it's really a decisional point in a seed. Usually the other factors, like we've seen in this seed, where it's the resources, it's the other items, those are usually your deciding factors. It's not impossible for Magical Sword to be a decider, but it's very unlikely. It's a compass in level 2. I'm gonna skip it. Knows where the Triforce is.
Yeah. I'd say Magic Sword is really just depend on whether or not you find White Sword or Wand. I think that's really the only time where I would make the argument that locating hearts is particularly useful. Just having that additional combat boost if you don't have those two items is pretty significant.
Especially if you don't have a red ring, because if you don't have that, killing things faster means you take less hits.
Yeah, ladder blocked out of the heart, assuming he didn't pick it up early. I've kind of lost track of what's in here, but I'm pretty sure that it was not something that we saw, the heart container.
I wonder if maybe that's the play Nim is making, saying, well, let's go for Magical Sword, because I don't particularly want to go back to a Wizard Hell.
Well, I'm going to go back to 5 now, which is the correct spot to be for the items that he needs.
Yep.
Kind of feeling like he's run a little bit short on time now to make that comeback. He's just got to go up a few times from this room, I believe.
Oh, really? To me, it's still all it's going to take is one really bad Dig Dogger. Or not.
Yeah, ran out of time. He's going to find the ladder basically as he runs out of time, too, which is going to probably frustrate him a little bit, but get your GGs out for ChronoJJ.
We'll get us the official time in just a second. Official time is going to be a 1 hour, 20 minutes, 21 seconds. So really the big thing the seed to me came down to was just digging the I kind of want to call it a right order seed, but at the same time there's enough ways you could get around a lot of things where it doesn't necessarily feel like it's a right order seed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. This is just kind of one of those interesting situations where one key in a seed that was perceived to be fairly key star really broke open the whole thing. I think the ladder kind of pushed Nim away from specific things like Triforce 2, for example, the Triforce 7 because he didn't have bombs. And that really was the deal breaker. I think if he got that ladder, let's say, within a few minutes of Chrono, we might have seen a completely different race altogether.
Oh, totally. And there's also the question of what if Chrono had gone to 3 instead of 5? Like, if Chrono had gone to 3 first and gotten the silvers, well, that's all fine and dandy, but then you have to buy a key for 5, or you got to go start digging 6, 7, and 8 for keys.
Yeah, the one thing that is available, though, still in bulk was money. I mean, even with bomb upgrades being bought, we're still back up to 173 for Nim, so it's tons of money.
Yeah, you're probably going to buy a key before you go to a dungeon to go look for a key.
In any event, we do have Chrono here. GG's, Chrono.
Hey, thanks.
So I probably heard a little bit of the conversation we were having there, but ladder being one key door into level 5 was the big deal breaker for Nim, who just found it literally as you were going to Zelda to finish the seed off.
Yeah, there was a lack of keys. But then, yeah, when I found that and got the any key, I'm like, oh, well, that solves a lot of problems.
We did have a nice lengthy discussion about when do you buy arrows versus blue ring versus keys, and it seemed like as we were having the discussion, y'all were finding, oh, well, Nim already bought arrows at the time, so no need to buy arrows there. And then, oh, there's a red ring, okay, so I guess you're buying keys now.
Yeah, I think I bought arrows too. I usually buy arrows because that means the next item I'm going to find silver arrows. It just seems to work that way. I do have a question, though.
Sure.
Level 1. I only have 2 items marked on my tracker, but I think I cleared every room. Are there 2 hearts in one, or did I miss something?
2 hearts.
There
was one before the mugger that you paid a heart to, and there was one after the mugger you paid a heart to.
Okay. Alright. Well, that's why then, because I forgot the mugger, so I'm like, did I get 2 hearts? And I'm like, no, I don't think I did, but every room was marked off, so I'm like, well, I think I got it all.
Yeah. Nim now going to level 3, gets to that super room in very, very short order. So now has silvers and is immediately in go mode. And we're really going to see the blitz on now. I bet we see 9 within, what do you think, also 3.5, 4 minutes, given that he's got flute to kind of move around the overworld?
I'd say closer to 3, given that 2 is just walk in, grab Triforce, and leave. And he knows the path to the Triforce in 7. May opt to kill the Dig Dogger to get there a little bit quicker. The other issue Nim was having was bombs, too, because the luck just was not there for a good while.
Yeah, I'm going to head down to the any key now that he's gone down from 5 keys to 2, which is clearly a good play to make at this point, I would say.
I was a little worried going into 8 without the recorder, with all those Dig Doggers. Because I kind of half thought about going further into 9 to try to find the recorder, but then decided, well, I could always go back if I need to.
Yep, that was the one dungeon where Nim really made a ton of time up on you because he found both those items and that Triforce within maybe, let's say 14 rooms, 15 rooms.
Yeah, because they're all in that bottom left, and I don't think I had the any key then, so I didn't want to burn my key on one, and that was of course the room with the Triforce.
That's how this game works. Oh, you don't want to spend a key? Okay, here's your really important item behind it.
Right.
The bomb grade is +6. FYI.
Oh, I didn't even find one.
I think the only one we saw was deep in level 6 in the top.
Well, there was one just to the right of the room that you manipulated in level 2, which got you the Triforce without the ladder. But you obviously saw that Triforce and had the wand, so you had no reason to go into the next room over. No 10 heart mags, by the way.
That was that manhandler in 1 really made me rage for quite a while.
The manhandler decided you will be a vegan.
Yeah, I was. I bet you never heard this before, but I was manhandled by the manhandler.
I can't slow clap with one hand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was a poor display of combat, but made it through.
So, as far as bosses go, not factoring the fact that there were a whole bunch of Gleox in absolutely terrible rooms to fight Gleox in, and also the manhandle in level 1, for the blocking bosses such as the Goma, the Dig Dogger, and whatnot, they really weren't that prevalent this seed.
I don't think they blocked anything. I know the Dig Doggers didn't, and I don't think any of the Gomas did.
Yeah,
either.
the only meaningful block that a Dig Dogger had was in the 7 that we're watching now, where it gets you from
staircase.
It gets you basically a free 7-room travel there, and you get around the blue Wizrobe room that's you thought might be a staircase early on, but ended up not being.
Yeah.
Though the blue Wizrobes, to be fair, were not rolling super high this seed, so it was a little bit more doable than normal.
Yeah, they went down pretty easy, especially once I had the red ring. I don't know, getting the wand early made me a little overconfident. I think maybe that contributed a little bit to some of my early deaths, because I'm like, I got the wand, I can kill anything. And I just kept dying.
Yeah, we're now seeing how close this potentially could have been, depending on how magical Staircase Zelda might have been in level 9, given that Nim has gone from 4 Triforces to 8 in about 5.5, 6 minutes time. So once he found the ladder, it was all go, basically, because the silvers were almost unmissable.
I guess the ladder must have slowed him down a lot then?
Well, there's that ladder block in 7 to the Triforce directly, and he could not get a bomb drop to save his life in that dungeon
Oh,
at
okay.
all. So he couldn't open the bomb wall north. So he had to abandon that. It didn't know necessarily that you could manipulate the Stalfos in level 2, so he had to go back there. So that kind of forced him around a little bit. I think there was also a couple more ladder blocks that may have helped him, like the ladder block at 8.
Yeah. I know it was handy having it, but I didn't ever think it was required. Now, about that manipulation, is it just random when they spawn, or did I do something cool? Because I just decided, well, if I go out and go back in, maybe it'll be better for me.
There's nothing like definitively set, but if you like, it's based on the pattern of rooms that you visit. Is the way I describe it.
Oh, really?
So if like there's a, take for example like level 1 vanilla. If you've done the vanilla runs at all, it's if you go and pirouette that first door, it kind of changes the patterns throughout there. JSR would probably be
Okay.
better expert on all the manipulation runs, since I think he was doing that for a good while. But long story short is, I feel like if you have a situation like that, you are better off just kind of leaving the room and coming back from a different
Right.
direction
Oh, there's the
and seeing
candle.
what happens. And in your case, it definitely was benefit because it did take that Stalfos outside.
Yeah, he hopped out right away. I went down and then found the wand. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I went back up, and there he was.
Yep. And here's that Gliok. I don't know if he heard the little blip there, but it definitely was audible. He's going to go up through the key door. So he's going to pick the right door right away and go straight to Ganon in Ganon's room.
I didn't necessarily hear. I thought I don't know. I thought it sounded a little weird, that the noise. But I wasn't sure, so I killed him just to like make sure I could go back out in and listen. And then I of course went up right to Ganon.
And through the Ganon fight, now it's just a question of how quickly you will find a path to Zelda. Didn't look like it was a super straightforward path from Ganon to Zelda, but just depends on which route he takes, I suppose.
Yeah, I ended up taking this stairway in this room, and then it was a little bit of a quest from there. But this was the only extra stairway I took.
I think it also depends on when the compass decides to show up, because if it decides to show up reasonably early, that'll help too, but it's probably somewhere stupid.
Well, you'll kind of be funneled into this because the room to the bottom is, unless he bombs through it, he'll just go back up, or you'll just jump in here anyway.
Yeah, I think he was jumping in there to look for the book, which is actually kind of relevant at this point, because
yeah.
It will tell you which rooms exist and which don't, so I don't blame him for that strategy.
Yeah, poking the head in is usually not a bad idea in 9.
And now he's going to get forced into it, as you say, unless he
Yeah.
wants to burn his bombs, and it doesn't look like he wants to, even with 14.
And then this stairway led to quite a bit of connected rooms, and it was just a matter of going through enough of them until found that shutter door.
Yeah, will require bombing in this room. I think
Yeah.
it was down that was a bit quicker to a resolution.
Yeah, I thought it was just gonna be one of those dirty tricks where you have to go just a dead end staircase, but then all the walls opened up.
I mean, I wouldn't have doubted it if it happened. This game likes to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I go this way, see a door over there, but gonna opt to go through the locked door instead, and I believe Zelda was just to the right of this room, then you go up.
She's a few rooms down yet.
Oh.
I think you got the right column, but I think, as you noted, I think it was you have to go down several times and then go right.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, 'cause I got my tracker. She's below the room he's going in now. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was just down and right side doorways.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, down 2 and then right 1 and then up. You have to bob in here.
There's an old man. I'm checking their map a little bit.
I think I'm maybe a little bit behind you watching the actual stream. Maybe I should watch it through Discord. Alright, yeah, now you'll
There it is.
get the good news about Zelda and the bad news.
Everyone get your GGs in chat for Nimanva. Official time of 1:35 flat.
GG, well played.
So Chrono, you go into the 1 and 0 pool. With names such as, well, a bunch of them.
Well, I only need to play one of them, so. Is your name in that group?
That depends on who you're asking.
I don't know, either of you.
Mine is not.
Okay, alright. Good, I feel better then.
Yep, I got fairly fortunate with my first seed being fairly tame and picking the exact right order.
Hey, you're right. He did kind of breeze through there the last few Triforces.
Yep.
What was it? He was...
I think when you finished, he had 8s, and he had 6s, he had 4s, and he was maybe just getting back to level 1s, looking for the items in there. So it was just 4 Triforces at that point.
No, I thought it was, he had gotten the 1 out of 1 and he just picked up the ladder, when he finished.
Oh, that's true. He was looking for the ladder in 5 at that point, so he was just past that point and going for his 5th try.
It was fun. Other than the manhandle, I overall had a pretty good time.
Yeah, the manhandler was definitely not cooperative tonight. You hate to see it, but it's what manhandler does. He just kind of does whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's kind of greedy trying to just run. Then I think I ran in there with 4 bombs and missed. But anyway, whatever. That doesn't matter.
So let me go check the schedule real quick to see what we've got coming up.
I think there's one ongoing. I think it'd be on the main channel. And we do have one, I think, also on SpeedGaming 4, so it's Pick Your Poison.
Yes, it looks like one of them is going to be Random Effect versus Liquid Husband. And then the other is Big Slamu versus Mad Bomber XX.
That has to be one of the best, names paired for this tournament. Big Slamu and Mad Bomber. Love it. But all right, well, thanks for casting the match, guys, and thanks for all those who watched, and my opponent for being there as well. But I gotta go to bed. It's getting a little late for me. But appreciate all of you do.
Yep, and once again, GG's to you on your win, and good luck in the next round.
Thank you much. You too, unless you face off against me.
Yep, we'll see what happens.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, also, well, kind of an interesting race there. I think really just decided by a ladder pickup, but
Yeah,
you never know.
For a lot of these races in this tournament, this one was one of the first ones that I've seen that's been so contingent on that one item pickup.
We'll give a shout out to Jess, who's in the background doing the tracking for us. Thanks again also for talking with me, and thanks to everybody for watching, including SpeedGaming, for allowing us to restream to this channel.
And also thank you to Mr. Fury for also jumping in the booth and talking about all the wonderful things that this game has to offer.
Yep. I guess we'll see you either in SpeedGaming 1 or SpeedGaming 4, because there's more Zelda 1 action going on right now. So long, everyone.
Y'all have a good night.